Ronaldo, Neymar, Benzema. This is far from a complete list of top footballers who have decided to continue their careers in Saudi Arabia in recent years for a lot of money. We are talking about hundreds of millions of euros. The policy of luring world-class athletes is being implemented in all disciplines. And if everything is more or less clear with the motivation of athletes, so what is Saudi Arabia's plan? Is it really a desire to create an image of a sports nation? Or is it still an attempt to clean up the reputation of the authoritarian regime in a country where human rights are brutally violated and women's rights are restricted? Today, in 10 minutes, you will learn about the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia, which is changing rapidly in the 21st century while remaining true to ancient traditions, where reforms are combined with medieval laws and the rapid construction of skyscrapers with public executions in the squares. Hello! This is the other side of Saudi Arabia, which is not shown in the guidebooks. Let's get started. Countries like Saudi Arabia are said to have hit the jackpot. According to various estimates, 90 to 95% of its territory is desert. So jackpot, you might think. But what if we say that almost a quarter of the world's oil reserves are also found in Saudi Arabia? It's already better, don't you agree? Its reserves were discovered there in 1938. By the end of the 1950s, this discovery turned one of the poorest countries in the Middle East into one of the richest countries in the world. Nowadays, Saudi Arabia outstrips such countries as Switzerland, Norway, and Qatar in terms of GDP, and the Saudi oil company, Saudi Aramco, is the second largest company in the world in terms of income. This company belongs to the ruling royal family, as do all the country's resources. The reason is that Saudi Arabia has an absolute theocratic monarchy. This is a form of government in which the state is regulated by religious norms, and in this case, it is not some kind of symbolism or tradition. In Saudi Arabia, the source of legislation is the Quran. Therefore, the country is governed by Islamic law, according to which citizens must be loyal to the monarch in good times and bad. There is no parliament in the country. The king has unlimited power and inherits it. In 2017, King Salman bin Abdulaziz Al Saud made his son Mohammed crown prince. Since then, the prince has become the real head of state, and changes have begun to take place. In recent years, the new ruler has made significant efforts to present Saudi Arabia in a more positive light on the world stage. Liberal reforms and a policy of greater openness have been implemented. This is because global demand for oil has fallen and it was necessary to develop other sectors of the economy. For example, by 2020, $35 billion was invested in tourism and infrastructure development. However, this was not enough to divert the world's attention from the open violations of basic human rights and freedoms by the Saudi authorities. Very often, the world's media reports on brutal mass executions in Saudi Arabia. Almost every year, international human rights organizations and democratic countries call on the Saudi authorities to ban them. But this is the norm of the criminal code. Most executions are carried out in public, most often in the central city square. It sounds scary, but it's a whole ceremony there. Saudi Arabia remains the only country where execution can be carried out by beheading, and people can be sentenced to death for premeditated murder, homosexuality, drug smuggling, witchcraft, rape, atheism. And this is not a complete list. The objectivity of the verdict should also be questioned. After all power is concentrated in the hands of the ruling dynasty. The judiciary is also in the hands of the ruling dynasty. Perhaps we need to remind you that we are not talking about some closed state of ancient times. No, this is the 21st century. Against the backdrop of severe punishments for violating radical laws, women's rights are no less important, or rather, their total restriction. The international community also points this out to the Saudi authorities, because the country ranks among the last in the world in terms of women's rights. In Saudi Arabia, there is a system in place that provides for the mandatory custody of a man or a male family member over a woman. Without his permission, she could not travel, marry, work, or get an education, or choose a profession. For a long time, women were also deprived of the right to drive a car. Although this restriction has been eased to some extent in recent years, it is still difficult to obtain a driver's license for a woman. In recent years, the situation has changed. Women were officially allowed to work as lawyers and marry foreigners, and in 2015, they participated in municipal elections for the first time. Now, Arab women can run businesses without their husband's permission and visit public places. However, such liberal changes came to naught after the terrible murder. This is Jamal Khashoggi. He is a journalist, columnist, and writer from Saudi Arabia. He is known for his criticism of the Saudi authorities. He was forced to leave the country in 2017 for the United States. There, he wrote a column for the Washington Post. In it, he was increasingly openly opposed to Crown Prince Mohammed. On October 2, 2018, Khashoggi went to the Saudi consulate in Istanbul. He needed to obtain a document required for remarriage. His fiancée was not allowed to enter the premises. She waited for him until midnight, but Jamal never left the consulate. Turkish police stated that Khashoggi was brutally tortured, killed, and his body dismembered inside the consulate. And 15 Saudi agents were involved in the operation to eliminate Khashoggi. Initially, the Saudi authorities denied that the journalist had died. Officials claimed that he had left the consulate unharmed, but later they were forced to admit that the journalist's murder was premeditated. According to the Turkish intelligence services and the US CIA, the order for Jamal Khashoggi's murder was given by the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman. Saudi Arabia is a kingdom that does not tolerate freedom of the press, and it remains one of the largest in the world in terms of the number of journalists serving sentences in prison. Some of them do not know what they are guilty of for years. More often, the charges are formulated as insulting the homeland, insulting the monarchy, and cooperation with foreign organizations. By the way, activist Lujan al-Hathlul, who fought for women's rights to drive, was sentenced to 5 years in a maximum security prison. Such harsh measures against journalists and activists are being taken because they are covering the problems of the authoritarian regime. This does not fit into the picture that the authorities broadcast to the world. Meanwhile, up to 20% of Saudi Arabia's population lives in poverty. 7 million do not have a bank account, 60% are women, and without one, it is impossible to apply for social assistance. The authorities rarely talk about this because it is more profitable to ignore the existence of the poor and sell the image of a wealthy oil state. In 2017, the UN recognized that the kingdom's anti-poverty measures are ineffective, unsustainable, poorly coordinated, and unsuccessful. Money still remains either with the royal family or among those close to them. For example, the immigrant labor force makes up a significant part of the country's population. This layer of society is subject to restrictions in the form of low wages, limited rights, and difficult working conditions. Also, some regions of the country may have higher poverty rates, in particular, those that are less developed or located far from centers of economic development. There are neighborhoods in major cities in Saudi Arabia where living conditions are far different from the luxurious standard associated with the country as a whole. In such areas, there may be problems with access to clean water, sanitation, education, and healthcare. So, Saudi Arabia is a country of brutal contrasts. Yes, Cristiano Ronaldo lives there, A-list celebrities come here, and music festivals are held here. Innovative works of construction art are being built here, and it smells like luxury. But public executions take place in the neighboring square. People's rights are violated, and activists who fight for them are persecuted and punished. Power is in the hands of one dynasty that appropriates all the country's resources. The development of the modern world towards alternative energy sources can greatly reduce the demand for oil. And then the Saudi economy risks falling as quickly as it took off. Therefore, these large investments in various industries are nothing more than an attempt by the authorities to find new sources of income. First of all, for themselves.